welcome to our special service honoring the legacy of the person we consider to be the founder of our particular school of Buddhism, we call Jodo Shinshu, that was established some 800 years ago. And we traditionally observe a special memorial close to his death date, which supposedly was on January 16th in 1263. So almost 800 years ago, this person lived and taught the spirit of Buddhism in Japan. And that became our legacy, in that the first generation immigrants that came to North America, Hawaii and so forth, were mainly from areas of Japan where continues to be the main faith tradition. So that's the connection that brings us here today historically. But spiritually, we're here as in the basic idea of Buddhism, to hear the Dharma, to receive the heart of compassion. And so I'm very pleased this morning to be able to introduce not our guest speakers, but the speakers that are going to share their appreciation of the Dharma, who are an instrumental part of our BCSF community. First of all, Reverend Dr. David Pading. And last time I had him speak, I didn't realize there are a number of people here who might not be familiar, acquainted with him, so I just skipped the introduction. But today I thought I'd like to give a more formal, I don't know if it's proper, but anyway, traditional introduction of Dr. Pading, who many of you are well aware of and appreciate his role here at the BCSF. But he's trained as a psychiatrist. Okay, and so I don't know what brought him to BCSF, but anyway, he thought he could fill a need. Okay, but he realized that psychiatry, it's dealing with certain things medically and psychologically speaking, but spiritually, which is the basis of our Sangha, he realized the meaning of being part of this tradition, to the extent that despite being a full-time psychiatrist, raising 3 children, and everything else that he was involved with, both locally and throughout the state in his role as a psychiatrist, he found the time to enroll at the Institute of Buddhist Studies. That's our BCA seminary, so to speak. And with that, he fulfilled the requirements, educational requirements, to be qualified to be a certified Nishihon Ganji priest. And so this past November, he ventured to Japan and participated in the, we call it Kyoshi, the teaching certification aspect of ordination. He completed the Tokudo a few years ago. That's the initial ordination, but then there's a different steps. And so the complete full-fledged minister requirement is to become a Kyoshi, a teaching certified priest. And so he completed that this past November, and he joins us this morning as the fully ordained, not BCA minister. That's another technicality, because to become a BCA minister, then you need to apply and be recognized by the office of the bishop, meaning you'll be willing to put yourself in the personnel pool and subject to assignment. But he doesn't want to do that yet. So he's going to continue to be our minister assistant here, but he happens to have his full ordination. Okay, so he'll be giving our Dharma, English Dharma message today. Okay, and then for Japanese, we're pleased to have Reverend Keisuke Lee-Miyaki to offer the Japanese message. And Miyaki Sensei, I think you're all quite familiar with. He's been around us for about 6 years, 5-6 years, and he just was this young guy back then that just showed up. And I knew he was from Japan, but it was kind of unusual to have a young person from Japan come to church services, because you don't go to church in Japan. You might attend funerals or memorials and so forth, but you don't go to church. So I said, well, this is kind of unusual, this young guy from Japan showing up to services here. And so I didn't know much about him, but over the months I gradually realized, and he finally told me, that he was ordained as a Nishihon Ganji priest and working within the Honganji system in Japan, his last assignment being at the Hiroshima Betsuin. Okay, but due to other various considerations in his life, he decided that he's going to leave that track and come to America to explore new possibilities. And so I guess one of the possibilities is to show up at BCSF and that go in. A karmic circumstance was what brought him here. And then once I found out he was fully ordained, I just kind of blurted out, hey, why don't you give me a hand here? So I began to bring him into helping with our ministerial team here, particularly focusing on our Japanese ministry. And so he's been doing that quite successfully for the past 5-6 years, and then recently, and we're in the process of the board of directors assigning him to be our part-time ministerial assistant at the BCSF, starting whenever he signs the paper. So that's just to announce I'm going part-time too. So we're going to be sharing the responsibilities. And so for today, he'll be offering a Japanese message for this special service. So it's, okay. And then as my conscience called Elaine Donlin is reminding me, I just wanted to introduce them because the children are going to be excused now to move on to their rehearsal, because they'll be doing a special presentation during the New Year's party luncheon program. Okay, so at this time, can I ask the Dharma school children and whoever would like to join them to...
I have a children's conversation.
The message is, be grateful.
David, Sensei, David has to talk to you.
Huh? Oh, man. Apparently, David Sensei does have a brief Dharma school message.
Oh dear.
And he's really jumping into it. So, okay, if you want to hold on for a chotto, meaning a minute or whatever, briefly, okay? Are you going to do that?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So you could wait there just a minute. So I'm going to move on and then have David Sensei come up and just share his Dharma school thoughts with you before you move on to your rehearsal for the New Year's party. Okay? まあ、一言、今日の日本語ご法話は、Keisuke Lee-Miyaki 先生がお願いしましたから、そしてその大事なことは、これからそのLee-Miyaki 先生が僕のpart-time assistant にしてくれるから、またその点はまたいろいろとよろしくお願いします。じゃあ、OK. And David picked this this is this custom up in Japan where they don't speak from tall pulpits in Japan. The speakers are usually on the level, not level, but on the floor. Okay, so he thought that would be a nice thing to introduce here as well. So, onegaishimasu. Thank you.